Hey guys, this is Mark from FwdCompatible. I just wanted to let you know about this phenomenal event going down at Orlando Fashion Square Mall. On Saturday, July 13th, you can play Injustice Gods Among Us and compete to win a Sony PlayStation 4. It's only $10 to enter, and all the proceeds will go to the New Hope for Kids charity. Orlando Fashion Square Mall is located at 3201 East Colonial Drive in Orlando, Florida. You can check out orlandofashionsquare.com for more details. You can pre-register, win some cool prizes, and help support an awesome charity. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Once again to the FwdCompatible podcast. This is episode 72, part 2, June 23rd, 2013. My name is Tony, and I'm joined, as always, by my fellow podcasters, Mark and Jason.
That's me!
Did I do that in the right order? I think I fucked up.
No,
I
you
was
good.
first last time.
Okay. Yeah!
Hey, how's it going?
Jark and Mason, how you guys doing?
And we have a returning penis toucher. I don't know.
That's me.
We got to come up with something steady for Bryan. Brian's
So
back.
is Penis Toucher not going to be
Brian's back.
steady?
Back again.
Oh, is this just a special occasion?
Brian's
Brian's back.
Back with men.
Bring up friends.
All right. So, this, of course, is part 2 where we're going to discuss Tony's
Pause.
topic of the week. But, what?
Pause.
Who do you think you are?
We got some
Zach?
feedback with the question that we asked during part 2 last week. Most people, unless you can nail a perfect recording of Tony's topic of the week,
Like me freeballing. I saw
like
it.
it freeballing.
I saw it. I know.
Because I'm free.
I knew it already. Freeballing.
So, we wanted to touch base, follow up, tag up on what
I
we
read
were
the
talking
comments.
about.
I read the comments.
Yeah, that's about all you do.
And
Damn comments.
of course, if you're just joining us, you can always click out now or at the end of the video. Really doesn't matter, where we cover in part 1 the news of the week as well as answer the listeners' questions.
And the impoverished geek question of the week.
the impoverished geek question of the week, which I actually finally got to ask this week. I had a burp. Whatever. I don't give a
I was like, was that a little burp in
I
there?
don't give a fuck, dude. I do what I want.
No comments.
He didn't miss a beat though. He's like the
he
impoverished
just kept going.
geek question of the week.
But of course, this is part 2 where we're going to tackle Tony's topic of the week.
Who are we tackling? I heard we're tackling with somebody.
Maybe I'll at least try to grab a little chime in there. Like crescendo chime. No, at the end. Like when you're listening to a ballad and then they just got the little symbol of the in there, so to finish off it. Right? And then you can
I think it should just be a drum
you
roll.
can free ball all you
Just a
want,
drum
and then
roll.
I just tack that on at the end.
I'm just saying, it's the
He's a one-man band.
It's the OG fucking. It's the OG fucking.
I'm saying we can still do it live every week, but I can
good
just
with
add
it.
a little twinkle on the end.
Hey, my mom says I got a lovely singing voice, so I'm going to continue with the Tony's topic of the week jingle.
Which is
Filthy whores. You don't get it twice in 1 week, you spoiled bastard.
I'll have Mark do it
I don't
again.
give a fuck. It's not the same.
Go for it, Mark.
I can't perform that week.
I can't perform. All right. Today.
I need that second of.
You gotta get the scat man going there. Dee-da-ba-be-da-bop. Tony's topic of the week.
I wonder if I could pull that off.
Ba-ba-ba-be-da-bop.
It'd be like beep ba ba ba. Tony's topic. Beep ba ba of the week. No, I don't know. I don't like it.
Find something else for him.
All right. So today this week we had some interesting news come out of the Microsoft camp, where they decided to change some of their policies. But before we kick off the Tony's Topic of the Week segment, there's something I want to address from last week's show.
Uh-oh.
Now, let me go back a few pages.
Oh yeah, let me back this up.
And a certain someone who came in third place
I knew he was gonna fucking do this.
by half a point, had Microsoft admits they underestimated the backlash of the Always Online and Always Connected and loosens up the restrictions in some form. Now, if you recall, I am trailing Jason by half a point.
So who's was this your point?
I would like a revote.
Okay, well, here's why you're
Was
not
this your
getting. Here's
crazy
why
vote?
you're not getting a revote.
Was this your crazy vote or what?
Hold on. Here's why it's
No,
not being
okay.
changed. Because this was regarding announcements at E3,
Ooh.
not after.
What do you find, gentlemen, think?
I just skipped over what he says.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
He's got a good point there. He does have the as he walks away, and he walks away. So Bryan, I guess we have to stall this show. Have you seen any good movies lately? Everyone just walks away.
Man of Steel was good. I enjoyed that.
Did you?
Yeah, I
you?
did.
Yeah, we're gonna get back to the question Tony asked and then walked away for soon.
So
I was listening.
Was
and
it-
I
yeah?
on my nose.
was it Tony who made that comment, or was it
Yeah,
Jason?
yeah.
My
what-
prediction.
What do you
And,
think?
and so you lost by half a point, or you
He lost
won
by half
I
a
lost
point.
by half a point because Microsoft did not address it at E3.
Right.
But it was a day later.
Jason's point.
Was it a day later? Wasn't
I'm
it?
just
It was
wondering-
a
I'm
while
just wondering
later.
It was like a
if
week
revote-
later.
It was like a week
It was
later.
like a week
I'm
later.
just wondering.
I will say it's good that they did that.
Now, is it worth a revote for him?
Oh, it's tough.
Because it would move him into the second place.
If you want to be a stickler to the rules, then no.
Jason
you
brought
wanna
up
be-
a good
if you wanna
point
be
because it
lenient-
was E3 announcement, and this was definitely like
It's
a week after.
Yeah, it depends on how lenient you want to be. I mean, it was E3 adjacent.
See, I think it's got to be up to you two because it directly involves myself
Yeah.
as
It
well
it
as
doesn't
Jason.
involve me in the slightest. I wasn't.
That
part
it
of the
doesn't
conversation.
involve either of you. Mark
Yeah.
is still far in first
Far
place.
ahead.
That
We'd have to
guy.
have 4 of these overturned for me to catch Mark. And since it
6 months later.
Yeah. Listen, we're gonna count whatever. I can't think of anything else you predicted, but I mean it's E3 adjacent. I mean I can see.
Should we hold off and leave it to the listeners?
I was gonna say maybe we should give it to the listeners.
I
That
agree.
was actually my thought.
I
yeah.
agree.
Okay.
Because Jason brought up a good point, but
Well-
you also brought up a good
well,
point with the point that it
of
is
course-
adjacent to the E3, which is like the next week.
And
But
the
E3 is a
Yeah.
week long. It wasn't
Yeah.
during their press conference per se,
No.
Mm-hmm.
but the week of E3.
Was it the week of E3 or was it?
It was the week after
It was
E3.
the week after E3. But it was still E3 adjacent. I mean, the E3 news is still getting disseminated on the smaller stuff. You know, the smaller games are still getting reported on. The hands-on stuff is still going out.
So we're gonna leave it up to you, fine folks, out there. Me and Jason don't get a vote, obviously, because it directly affects both of us, pulling me into
It's
second place.
basically who wants to be the first loser
Yeah.
and who wants to be the second loser.
I got second place, which is last in the world, which is last. We've decided we're going to let the voters or the listeners vote.
decide.
Okay.
So we're back, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, we had to take a slight
Pause.
piss break.
Pause for
Yeah.
refreshing.
Yeah, stuff and things.
Awkward intro back to what you were saying.
We're all about awkwardness at this show.
Yeah,
You know what? I'm just going to open this can right by the mic, too. Okay, we're getting all the goofy out. Back to the topic at hand. So, sorry, I have to flip back
Yes,
3
to
pages
the,
to the
the
current.
future or the present, as you may know.
to the
yes.
currentness. Okay. So, Microsoft pulled back on their DRM, excuse me.
It's all right.
You were getting it confused with the Halo.
Yes, I am. That's where I got the yes. That's where I'm getting the DMR. They changed their stance on their used game policy. Was that it, or was there another one? Those are the basic.
Well,
two.
that's
That's the
there's-
main stuff.
So there's no more check-in.
Always check on.
Right, there's no more
You have to
check-in.
log in one time online to update.
The console.
Day one when you're at home, you have to have internet. They say.
Okay. Initial thoughts.
It's a good move.
Don't go too into details though.
Yeah, it's a good move.
So I also heard they were renaming their console to the Xbox 180.
But
Oh. Yeah.
Mark's got jokes.
Yeah. I think it's a good move. I think it. I don't want to go so far as to say necessary, but I think it is a
Necessary?
goodwill move.
Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? No. But I
do
do
it
it anyway.
anyway.
'Cause it's sterile and I like the taste.
Dodgeball's a great movie.
Sorry, I didn't mean to dethrone
No.
you. I just saw the opportunity to quote
It's-
dodgeball. I
You
gotta get
go
in there
for
when
it.
I can.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. I get it. I think it was a good move. I think it will win back some people. It takes some of the wind out of Sony's sales. It would have taken a lot more wind out of their sales if they had said it before Sony had a chance to make a big deal about it.
Yeah.
But better late than never.
I also agree in that where I think the damage is done and there are a lot of casual people who have not heard this news, I guarantee it, and they won't hear about it. And they've already lost fans for this. They will regain them. It is a good decision, but they should have done it at E3.
Well, they never should have done it to begin
See,
with.
that's an interesting point. 'Cause
Given Tony second
as
place.
big as E3 is, not everybody watches it. Like Mark just said, there's a lot of people that don't care. 1 week before the consoles launch, then they might Google video
What I'm gonna buy next week.
which one's better or some
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, they're buying a gift for their
And-
kids or whatever.
Yeah, and it's not. They're not going to look back and be, to the everyday consumer. All right, you're looking in 4 months from now. What they're going to be like? Oh, 4 months ago there was this maybe thing that was going to be always online, but they decided not to include it. Like, who does that really affect?
Well, the question is whether the news covers up the old news. I mean, because if you just do a Google search, you might pull up an old page and not see it. Or if you have a shitty salesperson who doesn't know that there's been updated news, or if you have a fanboy who's working the register or the checkout, they might...
I run
Yeah.
into that all the time in my
Yeah.
local store
Yeah.
with my colleagues giving false information on a lot of products. I just sit there. I don't care enough to correct anyone. I'm just like, whatever. If you want to fucking lie to these people, go ahead. But you can't always trust the salesman anyway to give
Right.
you a full...
So there's that to be concerned about for Microsoft still. So the stigma is going to hang over them for a while probably. But they can overcome it, I'm sure, if they work at it. They started walking out of the woods, but they're still like in the shadow of the woods, so to speak.
See, I think, especially the internet, but humanity in general nowadays has an extremely short memory. They tend to forget
What
stuff.
else?
Humanity and the internet in
What
particular.
about them?
They have a short memory. Oh, I get it. You got jokes.
Jokes.
Let me see if I can muster up an example.
Muster, I love muster. Let me catch up with you here.
See, everybody's got jokes there. It's just a laugh a fucking minute. What did the mommy mummy say to the baby mummy when they were getting in the car?
Don't know.
Put on your seatbelt.
Oh,
Tony's got jokes.
that was pretty puntastic.
Oh, you're trying to come up with a...
I was going to think of something. I'm just thinking of something that I can point out that happened in the last year.
Where people have forgotten about it or have...
Details about
Yeah.
it. Something that blew up.
Sony outage, maybe.
Oh,
I'm sure some people have
that's
short-term
everything that
memory.
happens. Yeah, I mean, everything...
Okay.
Yeah, everything's
Okay.
short term.
Okay. Here's something that happened 3 months ago. Who did EA beat out for the worst company in America?
Was it Comcast?
I think so.
It was not.
It was not Comcast.
It's not.
Exactly.
Then it would've been,
Exactly
I know
my
Comcast
point.
was up there, but yeah, you're right.
Exactly my point. This is how short-term our memories
Was
are.
it Bank of America?
It was Bank
Bank of America?
Yeah.
Okay, I knew it was someone up there.
But that's what I'm trying to
I think
say.
it's been the semis, I think, though.
That
Yeah.
that
With
just
EA, I
happened.
think.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And we're in tune with this stuff. So picture the average consumer, how quickly this is going to be erased from their memories.
Yeah, I mean everything. If you watch news, and I'm sorry that if you watch news on TV because it's awful, but I mean everything. Whatever current thing is happening brushes everything else aside. Every time there's a celebrity scandal or a
SARS,
political
next disease
scandal,
that'll kill
SARS,
everybody.
yeah, every year there's a new so it's
Eat strawberries. Don't eat strawberries.
Yeah.
They're healthy.
Coffee is
They
great
give
for
you
you.
cancer.
Coffee has been linked to cancer today.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Is I don't know how long this really is going to matter. In our world, in the super in depth where we watch everything with a microscope,
We know,
it's
yeah.
going to matter. We're in the know. For the average Joe out there, or somebody who's just a casual gamer who doesn't really.
They might just be
They're not
finding out
hitting-
new consoles are coming out now.
And that's it. Yeah,
Finding out at the water cooler.
yeah. Just like, oh, just
There's a
the
ton of
new
people like
PlayStation
that.
and Xbox are coming. There's a ton of people that I was telling.
Well,
I'm
but
like,
they're-
I was telling my buddies and stuff like, hey, I just ordered the new PS4 and Xbox One. I have them both pre-ordered.
Yeah.
And they're like, those are coming out already?
Yeah.
Like, they just
No
like...
idea. Yeah, it's not.
And that's
their
all we've
forte.
been talking about for the last fucking year.
Yeah, I know.
And I can't wait for...
But it's only been like 7 years, Tony.
No, because you know damn well, 2 weeks after the launch, the new rumor mill is going to swirl up, and we got to start covering the PS5 and the Xbox 2 for the next 9 goddamn years. This rumor this rumor that. It's it's happening.
When I managed my
PS5
GameStop,
already in development.
when I managed my GameStop, we had the PlayStation rep who'd come in. And we had this guy, and unfortunately, Jason's not here to chime in on this, but this guy asked the PlayStation rep, so what can you tell me about the PS3? What can you tell me about the PS3? The PS3 had not even been announced yet. Like, everybody knew it was coming because it's PlayStation. But he asked, like, what's the controller like? How are the graphics? And the guy's like, I don't know, dude. The PS3 hasn't been announced. So, yeah, people, before it's even announced, people want to know. But it's...
All right, this is kind of on a related note, and we apologize for Jason's absence. He is here. He's just not right now.
Right.
He's taking
Yeah.
care of something in the other room, which is also why we had to pause the cast for a second. But it'll probably transition seamlessly through the power of editing. Look at that. Look at that.
I totally did just hear that phone vibrate, by the way.
They all went through on the...
No,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
So, like I was saying, on a similar level, what message does this send to the people like us who do have a microscope up to all this shit? That Microsoft was so quick to change the policies, that they were so admirably behind up until last week.
Were they that quick? I mean, it was several weeks. And I guess that's fairly quick for Microsoft.
I guess since they didn't address too much of it at the actual Xbox reveal, they waited more till E3. I was thinking more like the backlash at E3 was the final nail in the coffin, and it was a pretty immediate response.
If it was Sony that made them change and not... Because that's the thing. Don't forget that Sony made a big deal about it, and Sony is their main competitor. So it's just as likely that it was Sony that made them change and not people screaming and complaining. So
I think it was a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But I know Sony had a big part in their decision making. A, the viral campaigns that came out afterwards were hysterical, and B, you don't have to be blind. Microsoft was watching the Sony conference to see what they had going,
Right.
and they saw the fan reaction from the normal people out there, the consumers, and then you top that with the first couple days worth of pre-orders, and PS4 was just killing Xbox in a landslide on pre-orders. You got to quickly change your fucking tune. You know what I mean? You can't sit there and stick to your guns. But what do you guys think about it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I
Smart
think...
move, poor move.
Smart move. Seeing your competitor's name chanted by a giant crowd tends to make you think. The only thing that Microsoft has working against them in this case is that they announced it in the first place. So as long as they don't get those shitty salespeople, which they'll get a few of them, sure. It was a good move. It was the right move to make, which in the long run is the good thing to do, the right thing to do.
I also think it was a good move, but I also am sad to say that some of the new features that they wanted to implement, they can't do now because they 180 on this.
They could have kept some of that stuff.
Yeah.
If they wanted to do more work on it. I think it was a little bit of a fuck you.
We also worked out the background noise situation on this most recent pause through the power of editing. You won't feel that one either. Unless Jason forgets to cut these long silences off. We got a lot going on over here
I'm
today.
sitting in Jason's spot. It's nice and warm.
Is it weird?
Yeah, it's weird. He also has the AC behind him. That's why there's a lot of buzz in the background.
What the hell were we talking about now? It's like 5
it was the
Microsoft backup, the Xbox 180.
Yeah. Because they were talking about taking out some of the features. You were saying how they necessarily don't have to take those out. I think they're doing it as now you're losing out on this, guys.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be an either or proposition. They could just as easily say that if you install the game to the drive, then you have to play by the rules that they had. But if you don't want to play by those rules, you can just not install the game. And that would probably make it all work out a little bit better. But, whatever.
I think the message that they send was two-headed. It's a very poor message. If you read the leaderboard or the message boards and stuff out there, people are still very angry, even though this...
They just need something to hate on.
Yeah, I'm aware. The internet is always very hateful. But
what internet are you on?
where's this
big
internet
one.
you speak of? But
I guess it's just 4chan is such a welcoming
it-
community. I just assume
Oh,
the whole,
4chan.
the
They're
whole
full of
internet's
nice
like that.
people.
now you look at it and you realize the Xbox is just an update away from taking a lot of the... Like, now what else can we get them to change? You know what I mean? And if...
They're going to bring ads
Like,
back now.
what can we... Like, can we get rid of the Kinect requirement? Can we drop the price to $3.99 like the
That'd be nice.
PlayStation and make Kinect an option? Because that'd be sweet. Can we talk them into... I don't know.
I don't think we'll be able to talk them into getting rid of the Kinect just because
I don't
I think
think so
they're putting a lot of money and effort into getting the Kinect out there and popularized. I don't necessarily blame them for that. They want to try to push a new technology. The only way you get a new technology to really go is to say fuck you to everybody who doesn't want to take it on. When you look at like USB didn't pick up, even though it was out for several years until the iMac came out and said, oh no, just USB.
Literally, it's going to be the exact same thing where most people aren't going to use it, though. I don't think just because it's a better piece of hardware that it's going to change anyone's mind about motion gaming. It's literally, yes, it's going to work better. Like, it should work better. It couldn't go very much worse than what it was. And I think a lot of the games will actually have some kind of good use of it. Near the end of it, when people are like, all right, the motion tracking on this sucks. The voice commands worked out great. I enjoyed Mass Effect 3 was actually one of the best uses of my Kinect for the voice commands because their system of how you use the powers was you'd go through a menu. Well, if you just knew what the power was called, you just said the power and that was it.
You
It
call
cut
it,
out
or you called it the teammate.
hours of being
Yeah.
in the same menu. I mean, yes, it's only seconds at a time, but you're doing it every 30 seconds. So
Right.
But on the other side of the issue, I do agree with both you guys that it was a great decision that needed to be done. I mean, that was the one. Now, I know the internet's still going to complain, but there's not much left to complain for. Every single thing that people wanted out of the Xbox, the new Xbox, you are going to get, with the exception of Xbox Live going free. There's nothing left to complain about. People bitched about the lack of exclusives. They filled that in. Then people were
Definitely.
complaining about DRM and used game debate, and they cleared all that up for you. It's going to be a way more powerful system than what you're currently offered. It's going to give you... They kept the controller, for the most part, very similar.
I like the controller. The controller is actually the nicest new addition that I saw by them.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going to be the next thing. Everything's going to...
Except their quality control for Microsoft has been garbage, I could almost say, for the last few years. I don't know if you bought controllers lately. I have not had one work 100% properly in years. Literally, I'll either have... It's generally tied with the thumbsticks for me. So literally, I hope their quality control on it is better, because, I'd have my guy, floating off into space because my controller, a brand new controller, would still do that.
I've had that on multiple consoles. I think every console had a weird controller drift issue where they keep moving like a little bit after I release the stick. I know it's happened to me definitely on
But
Mass
see,
Effect.
I won't even be touching it and
Right.
moving.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I'll center the stick and lift my finger off of it, and it'll keep turning or keep moving a little bit.
Sometimes
But I think
my-
it's happened on my PS3 as well. Sorry.
Sometimes mine moves without me touching it either.
Yeah.
It's got a mind of its own.
Weird.
But usually if you just flick it, it'll
Yeah, it
recenter.
always
Yeah.
does it. It's
Mine doesn't
annoying.
like it when you flick it.
Are you guys still talking about video games?
Oh, no?
I don't think anybody's caught on
Is it a
yet.
video game podcast?
So I got a question directed toward you, good sir.
Okay.
Without the the currently existing knowledge that we had, last week you were very adamant about you basically replicated the anger of the internet and said that you will not be purchasing an Xbox One because of these restrictions.
Correct.
Now that they've cleared some of this up, are you rethinking your stance.
Yes, I will not be buying one at launch, more than likely, just because I can't afford to buy 2 consoles. But there are some Xbox One games that I do want to play. So now that this restriction has been removed, yeah, I probably will pick one up. It may not be at launch. I will still probably try to do it in the first year because I take the consoles early on. I'm a bit of an early adopter. You may have noticed from the Ouya and the NVIDIA Shield.
I like to be an early adopter
yeah.
too.
How did you like your price drop for your NVIDIA Shield?
I loved it.
That was fantastic.
It's great, and I just wish that GameStop would update the release date. They're still saying the 30th, but NVIDIA is saying the 27th.
27th, yeah.
Yeah, which makes me want it even sooner.
They price dropped
$50
a week before it comes
before
out.
launch. I'm so excited.
I try to be an early adopter as well. I realize the consoles are more money, but I look at it from a bigger picture. Like, like the Xbox One. Let's just say, if they follow current generation life cycles, is 7 to 8 years. If you so I look at it as a whole for $500, separated over the course of 7 years.
Yeah.
That's my cost per year. I do understand if I wait
Pennies a day.
I do understand if I wait 3 years, I can probably pick this console up for $250.
But you're not playing those games for 3 years.
You're missing out on a huge back catalog.
Right.
And now, if you look at it, you're only playing this thing for 3 or 4 years because you're halfway through the console's life cycle. So isn't it about the same anyway?
I would say so. Yeah, I mean, the only thing
Don't you want to
about,
maximize your time with the tech? The
I agree.
tech?
I agree. My only concern is the quality control because the Xbox 360 had such bad early launch titles.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned about the PS4 as well because the PlayStation 1 and 2 had serious issues as well. The PS3s were mostly rock solid, but the PS2s, man, I had a first-gen PS2. That thing was bad. That thing had issues. So I'm worried about that. But I agree. Buying the consoles early is the way to do it, assuming you can afford it.
I'm going to cry so hard if our consoles start going down.
Well, and my concern about the PS3 is the PS4 is if Sony does what they did with the PS3, the PS3 encrypted the hard drive. So if your PS3 died and you didn't have a backup, you lost all that stuff. Cloud saves help a little bit because you can keep your saves, but that was not implemented when it happened to me, and I lost my 60 gigger. I lost 80 hours of Fallout New Vegas. I could not go back to it. Could not do it.
No, there's not a point at that point.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's interesting. It's off topic right now, but that's happened to me quite a bit, especially with the amount of media that we're able to consume. Something like that happens when you pour a bunch of time into something and a little something goes wrong. It's so interesting how quickly you become detached with what you just invested all that time into, because I even go back. There's certain lengthy games that I've beaten to completion. And it seems like a good idea at the time, 3 or 4 years down the line, like, hey, I'm going to replay this game. And you pop it in for 30 or 40 minutes. It's so interesting what happens, at least to me personally. In your head, you start replaying it and you start remembering everything. You're just like, I don't want to fucking do this again.
Yeah.
And even though the game left a great impression on your memory, sometimes it's better just to leave it at that. And
Especially when it's
not
a long game, too.
Tomb Raider was
slow
like that
starting
for me.
games, exactly same thing, too. You just don't want to go to that slow part to get to the good part.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to be the peon before you become a god. Yeah, you want to jump back into that last.
Yeah.
That's what New Game Plus is awesome. When you
Yeah.
can restart the game from the beginning with everything that you earned the first time through.
I agree.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there is some negative with what Microsoft announced. One of their potentially cooler features, depending on the restrictions that were on it, because I've heard rumors that it was like limited to an hour, but I heard rumors from official Microsoft, or I heard statements, excuse me,
Yeah, it was
not
on
rumors,
Twitter.
from official Microsoft employees, higher ups, that there was no limitation. And I'm speaking, of course, about the family sharing, the 10 people.
Tony's my brother. Brian's my brother.
now-
Everyone's my brother.
See, that's the cool thing. Say we were all getting Xbox Ones and this was, in fact, a real thing, and we were all on each other's family plans. And for single-player games, you can buy one out of every 4 titles.
Yeah.
right.
If this had no limitation.
Right.
So, you could pick up a Halo game. Well, Halo's bad because it's multiplayer centric, but
same thing.
like a
If
Mass
you just wanna
Effect,
play
You
it
pick up
like
single
Fable.
player.
Okay,
Yeah.
Fable.
Yeah.
And Bryan buys it, and then I buy Crackdown, and Mark buys Halo, and Jason buys Gears.
Yeah.
Okay. I know those games have multiplayer. They're terrible examples, but they're just off the top of my head. We all beat the game we bought, and we just rotate to the left. And you'd only have to buy 1 out of 4 games, and you can legitimately, through Microsoft, do that. I understand for multiplayer games, when you're going to all want to buddy up or co-op
Yeah, it
games,
doesn't work.
everybody'd have to pick it up. But for story-centric games like Tomb Raider or Uncharted, which are obviously a Sony
Wait, you
exclusive.
didn't you didn't play Tomb Raider for the multiplayer?
Sadly, no. I just couldn't get into it. I know it got rave reviews.
Oh yeah.
But, to me, that was one of the cooler features that Xbox is looking into implementing, and unfortunately, they're dropping that
Yeah, completely.
completely. So I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts or
I know-
anything to that?
I know. Adding on to this, Xbox is actually dropping. How they have the family plan now, $100 for gold accounts. They're actually dropping that plan completely from what they had said. Secondly, on this topic, the Just Cause 2 creator actually was commenting on this, and basically to keep people from doing that, he was saying to make better games. Because literally, he said he walks.
That was a
in-
guy from Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo said that as well, but I think
Okay,
the Just Cause
Two-
guys said
yeah,
it as well.
Just Cause
Oh,
Two guys.
okay, I'm
'Cause
sorry,
literally,
They both said it.
Yeah, literally, because he's like, even at your store, do you ever have more than maybe 2 copies of Just Cause 2? That game sells, and it's not anywhere to be found, really.
Same thing with like Alice Madness.
Yeah.
People don't trade that game in because they enjoy it so much.
But what he was saying is, instead of people doing the constant sharing or the multi-buys and stuff like that, make better games so everyone will want to have it and keep it. I know it's not the easiest thing to do right off the bat anyway, to make a game perfect, everyone wants to keep it. But it was just one of his statements on it, and still an interesting way of saying I'm
I
awesome,
agree.
you suck.
I kind of agree.
So, I guess in general, what does this change now that Microsoft has dropped these policies?
Literally, I mean, it dropped a lot of bad press, I guess, is like the worst best thing, I guess, because now it's gone. And now they have to figure out if they will, like, be able to, like, keep to their word with this, because, like, the online pass thing, that kind of came out of nowhere. Will they bring something like that back? Will family plan, like the family sharing, come at some point? They kind of have to figure out where they want to go. Like, they have to re-approach the direction of the console, almost. Because before, those were like the four main things that they wanted to do with this console, different from the past one. Without those there, they have to get some kind of new direction, I guess, of what they want to do besides put out a new console with just new parts. Like, you have to add new features and stuff. I think they have to scramble and figure that out.
They even heard you guys. That's another thing that I totally forgot to add in earlier. It's not nearly on PlayStation Plus's level. I don't even want to pretend to compare the two. But that's another thing. People were looking at Sony's paid service. Mm-hmm. Microsoft heard you, and they announced that they're going to start giving free games, 2 a month. So far, the announcements have been lackluster at best.
They're good games.
They're amazing games. Halo 3 and Assassin's Creed 2, but PlayStation's not exactly handing out 6-year-old titles.
No,
they're giving you
stuff
1 or
from
2
last
year
year. Too.
Yeah, it was Uncharted 3 was this month, and what else? Well,
Saints Row 3.
XCOM was
Saints
their
Row 3.
newest game, I think, that they put
And
out there.
these are critically acclaimed games.
Yes.
These are not
and
garbage.
and fairly recent.
These aren't garbage.
Yeah, they're
titles.
within at least the last year to 2.
You know, who the fuck owns an Xbox 360 and hasn't played Halo 3?
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed 2, I could see maybe
maybe it didn't jump in the
half of
series.
the install base hasn't played it yet. But Halo 3,
Yeah, that was like everyone had that. I don't think there's anyone of my friends who probably doesn't have that listed.
But
get rid of the disc and just put it off your hard drive.
in Microsoft's defense,
Well, I mean, you get like 75 cents for it.
in Microsoft's defense, when PlayStation Plus came out, its lineup was rather lackluster. It takes a little bit to get the ball rolling. PlayStation Plus was sad for 3 or 4 months. They were giving away free games. Even publishers and stuff didn't understand it. Nobody was signing with them. Like, Sony had this vision, and nobody else shared it with them. So it took them maybe even 6 months to get the ball rolling before they actually started handing out worthwhile titles. I waited almost a full year to jump on board.
Yeah.
And I've never looked back. That
It's
thing's
really a
fucking
perfect
awesome.
idea, though. Literally, put out a game that's been out for over a year. At that point, you're not selling any. You're not getting any
New
profit
sales.
from that. You're not getting any new sales from that. Exactly. Put it out for free, because if you come out with a game 6 months after that, if somebody liked your game, you have at least one more day one.
Well, yeah,
sale.
you get the sequel sales, and you also get DLC. If someone really likes
Yeah,
that free
you
game,
also get DLC.
they'll buy that DLC.
Sony's doing genius with it because they're looking at all the upcoming titles. You'll see a lot of it
Yeah,
happen.
Saints Row 3
Where like
and
Saints Row, because Saints Row
Infamous
4
2
is
is
coming
on
out.
there.
You know, and
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that they're doing where when a new game is coming out, they'll try to get into the back catalog and give you the one that came out right before it, get people ready, replaying it or whatnot, and getting them psyched for the upcoming release. So I think publishers are starting to see the advantage of it as well. Like you were saying, future DLC sales.
Yeah.
You could lock somebody in to your series, somebody who may have never been interested or looked at you
Me with
anyway.
Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
play
since
those.
they gave you one for free, now you're hooked. And if the next Ratchet and Clank comes out, you're
Yeah.
probably buying it. So by them handing you that one free game, they've locked you in. So I think a lot of people are starting to see the benefit of this. And I think Xbox Live, it's sad they're only giving 2 a month away. It's nowhere near the PlayStation's 5
It'll
or
expand
6.
eventually, I think.
But if they're
Kinda
giving
gotta-
if they're giving 2 AAA titles away,
yeah.
then it's the exact same thing that PlayStation Plus is doing, because PlayStation Plus is 2 or 3 really big titles, 2 or 3 arcade games, 2 or 3 minis. Yeah, it adds up to
I
5
would
or
have
6
much
games.
rather had them do Assassin's Creed 3 and Halo 4.
That
More
would have made a
games that
little
are
more sense.
more relevant
Yeah.
at this
'Cause Halo,
point.
well, Halo 4 was last year, right? Or was it the year before?
Yeah, and they're not missing any new
well,
sales on that.
Not much. No, I'm sure they're not.
Yeah. That was me.
Stop with your phones.
Yeah, some of my hand
I
jobs.
put mine back in my pocket. Don't worry.
All right.
So, anybody else have anything on that? What's it change? Actually, I didn't even think I went yet. Did I?
I don't think so. Go for it.
I think that, unfortunately, it might be. It's not too late, but it's too late for a lot of people.
Especially with the pre-orders already being...
The pre-orders are literally in the millions between Best Buy, GameStop, Amazon, eBay, all that shit, whatever. Millions of these have been pre-ordered. And Sony is winning by a landslide. And a lot of people have just made the decision that they're going with PS4. That's the horse they're running
Yeah.
with this generation, at least at first. Now Microsoft has the job, because this came out a little bit later, of trying to get people to cancel that PlayStation 4 pre-order and instead switch it to an Xbox One.
See, I think at this point it's just too late, because like GameStop, their Xbox One pre-orders are done.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah, is that
Like they have to play catch up already. Like when it launches, they're behind the ball already because they did wait. They have to pick it up once the console launches, unless they can do what Sony did and they're pumping out units, which actually scares me in a little bit of a regard.
Sony's really good at manufacturing, though.
Yeah, I know, but like when like they quadrupled production, it was like, oh, I don't know, but
well, that's like one more crew in China. I mean, that's
yeah, I
I mean,
suppose.
the output of those factories can be insane. I mean, when Apple puts in an order, they're producing maybe a month or two before launch. That's it. There's not a big lead time, so it's possible that Microsoft could get a lot more ready to go. And
Sony.
either one.
Well, Microsoft has to make
Microsoft
more
has to make
get
more than
to
Sony
pre-order.
does. Sony seems to have
Sony
a lot
already
more
has
available.
a lot more available.
Yeah, than
At,
Like-
at my store, it's roughly 4 to 1.
yeah.
I haven't checked
but
ours
I
yet.
re-
Just
I
at my
recall-
one personal store, plus every 4
Ours was
PS4s
But
is
are you
one.
taking launch reserves on either anymore?
Sony
yeah.
everywhere.
Are you? Okay.
And
No,
as
not.
it-
I don't know if they're launched. They're pre-orders.
That's what I'm saying. I think the launch stuff is all sold out on both. Because I know Amazon sent me an email saying, "Hey, you got a launch PS4 pre-ordered. You will get it on release day. We are guaranteeing that for you, but we can't guarantee that for future orders."
Yeah.
So it's possible that all the launch stuff is kind of sold out already. Now they could ramp up production, and some of those early pre-orders will be transferred to launch consoles, but we don't know. That's the question. But I do think that Sony has more produced than Microsoft
This
does.
past weekend, Sony official statement was to all retailers that there's unlimited pre-orders for this weekend. And then past that, they couldn't really guarantee anything.
Yeah, what that says to me is that they haven't even started production, and they're basing their production off the pre-orders that are coming in.
I could see that, yeah.
Because it's possible that if they're not coming out until October, that they have 3 months to produce it. That's a lot of time in production.
I literally, for my store, comparing like how many I can reserve, it's 100 to like 30. PlayStation to Xbox on my store.
Yeah. The other thing. So you're 3-1.
Yeah,
I'm 4-1 by me. But the other thing too is, I know you have to slap all the parts together.
Yeah.
But it's not like somebody's sitting there creating all these circuit boards by hand. Most of these consoles are from pre-existing parts that they're hooking up together and putting them in their shell.
Yes and no. I mean, depending on what they're doing.
I'm assuming they're sticking either a Seagate or Western Digital hard drive in. You know what I mean? And then I'm assuming they're taking.
That's not being manufactured. That's coming from elsewhere.
But that's what I'm saying. Sony has to slap them together. They're not seriously making every little intricate circuit board.
No.
So
but the motherboard, the logic board, depending on how you want to call it, is probably being manufactured on site. They're calling the other parts, the processors and the GPUs are being made by AMD. The hard drives, but Foxconn or whoever they license it out to.
People
I don't know. I was just kidding.
You
about
missed
that.
this part. This is before
Foxconn was
we had
I
Foxconn
know who
stories of
Foxconn
the week.
is. Oh, did you really?
Every week, people committing suicide.
Yeah, I know.
It's an old joke.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's for the OG forward-compatible fans.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So when the Foxconn will get those parts, and Foxconn will have automated factories that do the actual combining of those parts onto the logic board. But from there on out, you'd be surprised how much is done by hand. I mean, everything is put together into the console, snapped together. All that is done by hand.
I didn't
even
mean,
the screws.
I didn't
are
mean
done
it
by
in
hand.
that way. I think I explained what I was trying to get at wrong.
Okay.
Just for easy numbers' sake, say there's 15 parts inside the PS3. I don't think more than 6 or 7 of them are going to be manufactured by Sony.
Oh, none of it's manufactured by Sony.
That's what I'm trying to say. So you're putting in orders to AMD and to fucking Western Digital or Seagate or whatever, and all these things, and they're going to bring, because they were probably preparing for this.
Well,
you're not giving away the intricacies of the PS4 by ordering 20 million hard drives from Western Digital. So all this stuff is coming in, and this is to your point that it doesn't take that long to produce these things, because you're taking a bunch of pre-manufactured parts, and all Sony is doing is putting them together. So I think if they had initially planned to ship 5 million to the United States for launch night, I don't think it's that big of a deal for them to ramp it up to 7 million.
As long as the supplies are there. I mean, the hard drive supply is there. I couldn't speak for the AMD supply because who knows? Microsoft and Sony are getting almost the exact same hardware for the processors and the GPUs. They're very similar. So how constrained that will be is hard to say. The memory can or cannot be constrained depending. That might explain why memory prices rose this year, is because they bought out the supply, a larger portion of the supply.
Yeah.
Because usually the RAM stuff is ordered like a year in advance. So depending on the limitations that they hit there, it's hard to say. But it's also possible that they over-ordered and expect to have an abundance to use later on. So it's hard to say. But it's possible that they can just ramp up those orders.
We'd like 1 billion RAM.
Yeah.
1 billion.
I mean, when you hear about Apple buying up all the RAM, that's something that happens when every quarter you'll hear about how Apple bought X amount of RAM and they bought like all of Samsung's supply for the year. You know, that's happened.
Jerks.
Which is how it's how they're able to get such large amounts of memory in some of their stuff. But
that's why I buy the G Skill RAM. There's always some available.
Yeah, I mean, because Samsung's one of the higher tiers, and you go down like companies. Crucial has their stuff. I don't know who makes Crucial.
Crucial's pretty good too. I actually used Crucial for a while. G Skill is really good. I actually exclusively used G Skill for the last 5 or 6 years. They have fantastic RAM. And Corsair stuff's amazing by far anyway. So.
Yeah.
I use Corsair, I think.
Corsair is good shit. There's a lot of companies.
That's in my gaming PC.
There's a lot of companies who buy their stuff directly from Corsair because it's such good quality. So.
Yeah.
And then they rebrand it.
They looked cool. They sold me in the Comp USA I was in. I'm like, oh, they're the same price. Ooh, that one's pretty. And I put that in my PC.
Stick that
They were cool and blue and wavy and shit. Yeah, I liked it. I only got 2 more points, and then we can free ball it if you guys want. I don't care. This is the big one. take everything into account from last week. How greatly Sony blew away Microsoft's conference. Take that away. Does Sony still win E3?
I think so. I mean, just because it was E3. I mean, if we're saying that if Microsoft had announced this at E3,
I'm just saying. Say Microsoft came out and said, "Don't worry, guys. We were kicking around the idea, but we decided against it. We heard you
they
guys.
said that at the E3
no
conference,
DRM, no use game shit, all that stuff. Don't worry about it. Let's move on."
it would have been much closer.
Now,
Absolutely.
hold on.
Yeah.
Now Sony can't go on that 5-minute kicking Microsoft when they're down bender.
Or they could still have, and it would have been really awkward.
Yeah, they would have just been like, "Guess what? We don't have new game or used game
Yeah,
restrictions either."
Yeah.
So take that out. Say Microsoft took 30 seconds to address it, moved on, let it alone, went to the games. Take that 5 minutes away from Sony. Does Sony still win?
They do still have the lower price.
Okay.
So that they have that going for them. It would certainly not have given them so much wind for their sales, but the price is still $100 difference. So it would not have been as big of a lead, but I think they could have still taken it.
Okay.
I also agree with that. The price difference, and I still think that the exclusives on the PlayStation's conference, even though most of them weren't exclusives, there's still more games that interest me on that.
Yeah. As for myself, I don't think so anymore. Because of the reasons I was named. I think so.
It would have been very close.
This is coming from a largely predominant Sony guy. I've been the Sony guy here since we started this podcast, until you came along, because you kind of gave me a hand. And I'm slowly converting Mark and Jason over the dark side, as you guys can...
I already converted. I got that on my PC. I'm happy.
But by
I got Company Heroes 2 coming out in like 2 days. I'm balling. I'm ready to... I won't get into it. Don't worry.
But by far and large, I've been trying to push the Sony out on this podcast since we started it. So I'm definitely the Sony fanboy. I don't think their conference was as good if you take this away. I think Microsoft had the better lineup. They had the better showcasing of games, with the exception of The Order and Killzone, which Killzone does not sell systems. It is not big enough.
Right.
I'm a personal fan. A lot of this stuff looks interesting, but you got to keep in mind they rehashed a lot of their other stuff. It was still an excellent press conference. I still think they would have done an amazing job, but without all the backlash from Microsoft, I don't think it would have definitely been a lot closer.
Yeah.
But I think Microsoft wins.
Well, I think that Microsoft has typically had the better presentation style and the better...
Not last year.
Really?
Last year, Microsoft fucking sucked. Sony
Really?
killed them.
Okay. Because I think that Sony they're not as clean. I don't want to say clean cut. It seems like Microsoft has a better PR department, and so they're able to put together a better conference and a better show. Certainly, like when you look at the stage, like the stage looks cooler, stuff like that. I think they have their stuff more together.
Yeah.
So I think that if you were looking solely at production value, Microsoft could have taken it, but that $100 I think really still sells the PlayStation.
If I had to regrade them, if that section wasn't done, I retract my statement.
See, that's the other thing with the pricing. I understand it's a $100 discrepancy. I get that. But it's really not. I think if Microsoft offered a Kinect list,
yes,
it'd be the exact same price.
If
Sony's only $100 cheaper because they're not forcing you to buy their Kinect ripoff.
But they're still selling the PlayStation Eye or whatever for $60, so it's still cheaper.
But a $40 discrepancy wouldn't have been as big of a deal, I think.
No, I don't
probably
think so.
not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, $40 would be
if they were like, oh, we're $459.99 and they're $499.99, it would have been a lot.
They
more
probably could have been a $10 difference, but yeah, it wouldn't be enough.
I'm just saying, I guess I'm looking at it from outside. Like, I'm not going in it with rage-filled eyes. Like, why is Microsoft $100 more? I get it, you guys. I dislike the fact that you're forcing me to utilize your Kinect because I'm never going to utilize it. If the Xbox allows me to run my Xbox One without it, the fucking thing is going into a drawer and it is never being used. It is not. I don't care. I don't want the shit on my system. I appreciate Sony giving me the option. It sucks for them because they're never going to sell me their PlayStation, whatever the fuck it's called. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I appreciate the company more for it because they're giving me the option.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think the $100 is that big of a deal, especially spread out over 8 years. I want them both anyway, man.
I think to the average consumer, it won't be the decision point. I personally think that $500 is too much, just because the PS4 is technically a superior machine, not by much, but by enough. It's got faster RAM. The developers
DDR5
as
opposed
to
the DDR3.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's got slightly better graphics processor, and it's there's something else.
See,
that might just be it.
The one thing that I'm curious about, but it's also going to take in bandwidth to account, is what Microsoft was proposing, where possibly through the power of the cloud, they're infinitely more powerful.
I wouldn't say infinite. There's things that they can offload to the cloud servers, and they've said that they've built cloud servers in multiple locations to help support the Xbox One, which could add better physics or some other calculation-based stuff, but it can't do full-on graphics rendering without going to like the Gaikai style solution where it's completely offloading everything. So it's simple enough to send coordinates and stuff like that back and forth.
Yeah, because I don't understand this stuff too well.
Yeah.
I'm just going off what I heard.
Yeah.
And to me, that sounds really interesting, where this is the first console that's not limited by the immediate hardware.
That could be done on the PS4 as well. It's just that Sony hasn't built the support for it. So if like EA wanted to build servers for that, they could do that for the PS4 as well. And you could do that on the PS3 or the 360 technically, if you had some clever coders.
Like, how cool is that, though, that these things are coming with 8 gigs of RAM, and you want to build a game that runs off 12 gigs of RAM, you can utilize the 8 gigs that are already on board on the system for whatever you'd like, and you can offload some shapes or rendering.
You wouldn't do that. It'd be faster to use the hard drive, probably, that's built into the console for extra storage.
Installing the actual
installing stuff. Yeah,
disc.
It would be fair.
But I get what you mean.
Yeah.
It's just kind of cool to the stuff you're buying day one can actually improve over time. The physical hardware,
I understand that. That's
as it gets older, can improve. That's fucking.
I really think
that's
Sony
cool.
is
That's
also
exciting.
going to turn to that at some point.
I think that's kind of what Gaikai is going to be, but they're not going to implement it in the same way.
Yeah.
Because what you're basically seeing with what Xbox is saying, or Microsoft is saying with the Xbox One, is that you can offload calculations, you can offload portions of AI, for example, which I guess you could technically, it would kind of be like a RAM boost or a processing boost. But the question becomes, what if those servers are unavailable for some reason? If the console's not online, how does it fall back? Does it reduce the quality? That's a question that we have yet to see answered.
Yeah.
But by the same token, anything that Sony does with Gaikai is going to be missing if you're not online as well. And I think the Gaikai is just going to be kind of like OnLive, where it processes everything on their end and just streams the video.
Which
and
worked out great. It just that technology was
as long as we can get latency
time.
down. The biggest question is latency with that stuff. If you don't have a good, it's not even about speed. It's about the time between sending packets back
where
and
the
forth.
servers are helps immensely. That's
So-
why you'll only probably have them in the major cities right away.
Right.
So literally, if you're out in Wyoming somewhere, you're probably gonna have to go all the way to Seattle or California, and
Your ping will be too high.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because one of my buddies in Virginia actually had used it, and I remember him saying that he had experienced some lag because I don't think they had a server near him, so his latency, all the controls made it seem very, I don't know,
It's like there's
not
there's
as
a delay.
responsive.
Yeah.
Like a delay.
It's going to depend on latency. Latency for me has not been that bad, but all it takes is someone's head end going down at your provider to kill that.
Yeah.
So it could be very cool. It is.
It's cool
filled
potential.
with possibilities. It is
It's
absolutely
very cool potential.
some cool potential.
I want to see where it goes. That will definitely.
And
Even
You're
if,
gonna see that for a few years.
Microsoft gets points for setting up the infrastructure for it in advance.
even if this doesn't work the way we're hoping it can, this is the baby steps to possibly the PS5 and the next gen Xbox.
Well, it's the baby steps to never needing to buy another console again. Because if they get the infrastructure down well enough, they can stream everything from the cloud to you, and you'd never need to buy another console.
Which is where I think that we're headed, but that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah,
But I'm just saying that's really cool that they may do it wrong because when you have new technology, the first one usually suffers.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody had to try something to make this the standard. It's just an exciting future.
Exactly.
Where you could buy a little stream box and everything's on their fucking end and that's over.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to, if you guys wanted to kick anything else around, because I wanted to close the show with this.
Mm-hmm. I'm ready for that. I've been thinking about what to say.
Unless you guys want to, is there anything else you guys wanted to include that you felt that we left
Can't
out?
think of anything.
All right, the last bullet point I have, and then we could do some final thoughts afterwards. Let's regrade Microsoft. We're going to stick with our initial predictions. Those are official grades.
Okay.
But this is just for conversational sake.
Yeah, I want to see what I actually give it.
You're right.
I
Yeah.
think I gave him a D, right?
Mark.
Yeah.
B+. Lily, I was actually, when I originally made my first grade of it, I actually didn't take off any points for that. Potentially for the used game thing, maybe I took off like a half letter grade, if anything. I really thought Microsoft's conference was strong, but the thing with Microsoft, with the Xbox One right now, I don't really care about the features that are staying with it. I don't really want a one box. I don't want my TV, my internet. I'm never going to use the Bing search, let's face it. I don't have, I have an antenna at home. I don't have cable to hook up to it. So there's two features that they, are pushing hard that are completely useless to me. And the switching back and forth is a nice feature. I'll never use it because how my setup is, my PC's right next to it. I'm just going to search up things for collectible guide or whatever. So the main features of actual the Xbox One, I already I basically gave them. They gave a great conference for the games and stuff. With the switching around with the DRM and the used game sales, it actually doesn't change my stance very much, so I'm still going to give it a B+. Just for the fact that Xbox One is not exactly, it doesn't have everything I would want in a console anyway. So,
All right, Bryan. Let's go down our little chart. Bryan to Microsoft. C-.
C-. I'd up them to C+ or B-. There weren't a lot of. They had good presentations. That's a good games, but there wasn't much for me there.
that's what I rated it too.
But I would, yeah, C+, B- in that general range. I'd probably go up to a B- just because they would have gotten extra points from me for calling it off,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say a B-.
Full letter grade.
Yeah, a full letter grade up at least. Yeah.
All right.
How about the Tonys?
I gave them a B. I was very pleasantly surprised with their conference, as was. I didn't mind all that stuff. I understood the argument, and I feel bad for a lot of people out there. On a personal level, I don't care. I'm always online.
Me too.
I don't give a shit.
That's exactly what I was saying, yeah.
As long as the DRM was hidden, where it wasn't like a
So let me stop
like
your
a
game
like
and
a
check everything.
stupid loading screen, like hold on while we authenticate.
Oh, you mean like the 2 minutes it takes to start up an EA game right now?
If it was all hidden, where I didn't know what my system was doing, and I didn't have to see it on the screen or experience lag or load times or any of that shit because of it, if it just did it in the background, it wouldn't have affected me at all. So I don't care. I thought this conference was awesome. I enjoyed a lot of the games. I'm looking really forward to Xbox. I know the news came out afterwards, but I'm happy that it did. Controllers are staying the same price. Games are staying the same price. Xbox Live is staying the same price.
Controllers are going up $5.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Both controllers.
$5 is whatever.
Yeah,
I don't care.
yeah.
I don't care about $5. There was rumors that the games were going to jump up to 70 or 80.
Apparently, the Xbox controller still doesn't come with a rechargeable battery though,
$20,
which is
whatever.
Yeah, you have to do the
ridiculous.
rechargeable thing.
Well, I understand it in a sense, but
It's for the add-on.
I think
here's the thing.
It's a $20
Here's the
add-on
thing.
right away.
PlayStation will come with rechargeable,
I know.
and PlayStation 3 came with rechargeable, and it was still cheaper than the
Here-
Xbox controller.
Here's a double-sided argument, okay? In Microsoft's defense, if they included a rechargeable battery, the rechargeable battery can break, and your controller is now useless. Whereas when there's a rechargeable battery, when there's a rechargeable battery, all you have to do is buy a pack, not a whole new controller.
It could still be removable.
But in PS3s, they're not.
I know they're not in the PS3.
But on the same side as that, in Sony's defense, when has your controller ever outlasted your rechargeable battery? Nobody's ever traded in a fucking PS3 controller because it doesn't recharge or whatever.
I've had issues with
I've
the
had
with
a
the
few,
Microsoft.
actually.
I've never seen it.
I've had a
your
few.
your buttons and the directionals and your analogs will wear down way quicker than your rechargeable battery ever could.
Yeah, I've had like
So I think
handful.
I
of
think
them,
for the
or
handful
less.
that get returned, it's a decent investment. So
And
I can
literally, that's probably
understand.
2 or 3 years after. You
I
get
can
them.
understand both sides of the
And,
argument.
well, and the other thing is, if you don't have a removable battery, you can make it bigger and last longer.
The other thing is I like the feel of the Xbox weight because of the battery pack. Controllers, despite popular belief, can be too light.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be some weight to it, and for some reason, that
Oh,
battery
the
pack,
6-axis ones are terrible.
Yeah, it was really weird.
6-axis are
Yeah.
way too light.
Yeah.
the battery pack on the dead center backing of my 360 controller
Mm-hmm.
is like perfect. It helps balance out. Try pulling the battery
Oh, yeah,
pack
I know
out,
what you
and
mean.
it gets way lighter, and it's just weird.
Oh yeah, definitely, I agree with that.
So this doesn't bug me. I don't.
No, it's not a bug
I-
me issue either.
I think they're too expensive. They should be the same price as Sony's and have more feature parity, I think. But it's not
The other
end of
thing is
world.
I've only bought my battery pack finally broke for my launch console, so I spent $20 back on it in 2006, and I used the same battery pack on all of my controllers throughout.
You're talking about your for your 360?
Yeah,
See,
for my
I've had.
360.
Here's the
And
problem.
Mine literally broke 2 months ago, where I had to get a new battery, and it wasn't the battery that broke; the cable broke.
The play and charge kit.
But I figured if I'm spending the $10 or $11 to get a pre-owned cable
You get the battery.
that I didn't even know if it was going to work, let me get a brand new $20 kit from Microsoft
Yeah.
and replace the battery.
Yeah. No, my only issue is.
They went through like 3 batteries.
if you-
actually,
if you-
so-
Really?
yeah,
if you
just don't
don't
hold the charge for more than a few hours, so I got a new one.
if you don't constantly use the Xbox 360, the battery dies and gets really weird. I didn't use my 360 for a few months. The battery was dead and it would not hold a charge. I just sit there
Mine's
and
on every
unplug and
day.
replug it. Yeah, if that's an issue with the 360s. But now they can fix that in the next run. But it's a weird
Better
memory
battery.
effect. Yeah, the battery is really weird. Where if you don't use it for a while and it dies, when you plug it back in, it doesn't want to recharge. It's just there, plug, replug, unplug, replug, like constantly before it kind of gets the hint. and
Yeah, I've
starts
actually had that
recharging.
before too. Actually,
Yeah.
like I look down and my light's not on. I have to go unplug it and replug it in.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
It is.
But I back to the thing at hand. I gave him a B, and with all this stuff, just for the outside effect for my fellow gamers, I would definitely up the score to a B plus. They don't gain an extreme amount of points out of me because there were still some problems with the
That's exactly what I said.
conference and all that stuff. And I'd feel relief for everybody out there, for the children that can't afford $60 games all the time. You even feel bad for companies like GameFly and
That's
Yeah,
the other
that
thing.
was,
Yeah,
you know,
stocks
and
across the board for places
GameStop.
like-
I don't personally care about GameStop as a company. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Right.
man.
But I'm just saying for everybody, there's smaller mom and pop shops. I don't know if they're. I think it's just a local Chicago branch around here. They're called Disc Replay.
Yeah.
They're it's just like a smaller company.
Or half-price
They-
books.
Yeah, half price books.
Yeah.
They have like 6 or 8 stores in the Chicagoland area. They resell pre-owned video games. You
Yeah.
know, and you don't want to see a little small businessman
Well, then you have
struggling.
video games here and now. There's only one store.
Oh,
It's
video
only
games,
one
etc.
store, yeah.
Are they still open?
They are, yeah. They
Yeah.
renamed. They're not etc. anymore.
Oh, is it video games here
Here
now?
now,
Here
yeah.
now.
Oh, okay.
Same
Not
store.
as
Same
cool,
owner,
but-
or
Yeah,
Yeah.
same people.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. So I mean, a lot of people would get affected. Even I know Blockbusters are barely around anymore, but
Right. Yeah.
there's the mom and pop video
Well,
rental
Redbox, all over the
places.
place.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Redbox, and you don't want to see all these companies suffer because of one company's decision to
Right.
not include this stuff. So for all those people, I feel relief. I feel
Especially
great.
because how many games have you actually bought and they're garbage? They're throwaway right away.
That's the thing. Yeah, if it's not an established franchise, if I did not have my in with somebody who will let me return a bad game, I would not be buying so many games sight unseen. I would be renting them first.
Yeah, I'm
or
lucky
waiting for
too.
demos.
I work at a game store, so if
Yeah.
they suck, I just bring them back.
Yeah,
So
most people
Exactly.
don't have that option.
no, virtually nobody has
Yeah.
that fucking luxury. So
Yeah.
you're kind of stuck with you got to go trade it in for $25 on day 2
Yeah.
when you just spent 60 on it the day before.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff sucks.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I feel relief.
Looking at you, X-Men Destiny.
I feel relief for everybody out there. I know a bunch of our viewers had a lot to say about it when we talked about it a few weeks ago. For me personally, I don't care. This does not affect me. I don't give a shit if they wanted to do this stuff. It doesn't bother me.
I'd love to see one of the features added that PlayStation did, which was the 1 hour demos. I would love to see them do 1 hour demos of games. Maybe an hour, maybe give me half hour of it, but free play until you want. Don't start me off at the beginning because so many games are so bad at the beginning. Give me like a nice little like middle part of the game.
That's what Ouya does. Ouya, every game is either free to play or it comes with a demo.
Yeah.
So you have to play it first before you buy it. You literally have to play it, and you can't buy it until you've actually played it.
Weird.
So to me, I'm only bumping it up from a B to a B plus because I didn't find as much fault with them before they changed their ideas. So it'd be different if I thought it was an excellent A conference and I knocked them down to a C because of the used game debate. I didn't take any points for any of this shit off.
Right.
So I'm adding a plus to their original B because I applaud their efforts, but it doesn't affect me personally.
Same here.
So if you guys want to wrap it up with some final thoughts, that's all I got for us.
My final thoughts, good job, Microsoft. You definitely made a ton of people happy with this, and I really hope you can get off of that, hate boat or whatever the heck they've been calling it, and hopefully people start looking at your console and looking at the great lineup of games you do have coming and be happy for you because you did something great. Not exactly for me personally, like I was saying in my why I just kept them to B+, but literally, good luck to you.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is a sign of Microsoft looking at the market a little bit more and not being so inside their bubble. Because this isn't the first time Microsoft's had an issue where they don't really take the outside world into account.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
This is interesting, and I forgot to bring it up. Every console has done this. Every console manufacturer. You look at Nintendo, who was very humble and very understanding with the NES and the Super NES, and then they came out with their third console. And I'm gonna make a thing about this with their N64. And I know there's a lot of N64 fans out there. It was a fine console, but they just assumed that everybody was going to deal with every piece of shit that they threw at you with that. Everybody was switching to discs that could hold way more content. They were cheaper to manufacture. They were better. This is when Nintendo pissed off the third-party publishers. People think this is a recent thing. It was the N64. The N64, Nintendo forced you to purchase a proprietary cartridge for like $40 or $45. Then you had to put your game onto the cartridge, put your seals and labels and package it, ship it out, and then sell it and try to make $2 or $3. That's when Nintendo lost all their third-party support, was the N64. Everybody else switched to discs. Nintendo was like, no, a smaller fucking capacity cartridge is better.
Well, it was
blah, blah,
faster
blah,
load
blah,
times is what it was about.
all that stuff, okay? Their third console, because of that, failed.
Yes.
Sega did an excellent job with the Master System, did an excellent job with the Genesis, or even CD, if you want to count Master and whatever.
I mean,
Third
for
console.
what it was. Yeah, for what it was, yeah.
Okay? They did it with the Saturn.
Oh,
They're just like, we're big, Sonic is huge, we're ahead of Nintendo right now, these guys are going to eat up anything. They dropped that bomb at E3, it's available tomorrow, they pissed everybody off, they didn't fucking sell any of
Sony
these
swooped
goddamn
in
things.
and ate all their cookies.
Now we
Ate
go
all
into
their cookies,
now we go into Sony. The PS1, very humble as a fuck you to Nintendo, because Nintendo was supposed to work with Sony as their disc. Sony was supposed to manufacture the N64.
Well, I think it was supposed to be the Super NES CD.
That's what they were going to call it.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was supposed to be disc based, and Sony was very happy that their Japanese conglomerate buddies came over, and they're like, yes, let's work together. And then Nintendo came out and basically did a big fuck you to Sony.
Yeah.
They ditched them completely. So Sony's like, well, we basically have the system ready made because we're going to stamp Nintendo on it. Let's just slap the Sony emblem on it. And that's your PS1. That's what the 64 was supposed to be. Okay? Great. They were very humble. They sold 100 million of them. They were like, cool. They stuck with it. They made their second console. PS2 was amazing. Sold 150 million of those bad boys. Sony's at the top of the world. They're like, we could do any fucking thing we want. $599 US. Get a second job to pay for this thing. What happened to the PS3? Yeah, the PS3 re-corrected itself later in the life cycle.
Took a long time.
But it was a bad idea. Microsoft, now we enter Microsoft, which is the whole point I was getting at. They were very humble with their first Xbox. They introduced Xbox Live. The same thing happened with the 360. They still weren't sure. They were still getting their foot in the door, especially with how short the original Xbox life cycle was 4 years, right?
Yeah, 01 to 05. And they killed the Xbox One.
They just stopped
They flat out
support.
said, no, 360's out, Xbox is done.
Then they learned some lessons from the 360, made it even better and better. Xbox 360, even though the Wii sold more, you can all agree 90% of them are paperweights.
Yeah.
And the PS3 is catching up worldwide, but in its home territory, Xbox decimates all over here.
Yeah.
And they feel they're at the top of the world. And they're making the same fucking mistake that the 4 console manufacturers before them. Even Atari did this with the 2600 and the 58. And then their third one, they're just like, we could do no wrong. Mm-hmm. And every single goddamn console manufacturer they get too big for their britches. And then they're just like, we can do anything we want. And now this Xbox One's like, fuck them. Charge more. Slap Connect in there. Force them to buy it. Online policies, all this bullshit. And they're just like, these people are going to eat it up. Everybody loves Xbox. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. And now they're lucky they're in the age of the internet, where before their console launches, they can hear the backlash, as opposed to waiting for launch day and seeing the huge sales discrepancy.
Yeah.
Sorry to steamroll that all away from you.
It's okay.
Nah, he just won. Final thought.
That wasn't even I didn't even get to my final thought yet.
Oh, bullshit!
No, you're right. You're right.
I didn't mean to derail you.
I don't even remember what I was talking about. Don't even worry about it.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts? This is good for everyone. This is good for everyone. It makes me now think that I will be buying an Xbox One, and I wasn't before.
There you go.
As for me, I kind of said this already, but I'll reiterate it. I'm just happy for everyone else. I was going to get one of these anyway. I pre-ordered it day one along with the PS4. I've been telling you guys for months I was going to get both of these. I'm super excited for both of them. I can't fucking wait. I didn't care about this stuff on a personal level, but I understand I'm one out of 75 million 360 owners. That's next to nothing. So how do the other basically 75 million people feel? I'm very happy for all of them. So this was a great move on Microsoft's behalf. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of the community. I know Sony forced their hand quite a bit, but the people did have some say. They heard you. Mm-hmm. That's cool. We should be doing that more. It's another thing. This is what I've been telling you guys for months too. Speak with your wallet. It's the only thing they're going to hear. And when Microsoft saw that they were getting out pre-ordered 3-1 or 4-1 or whatever the fuck it was right afterwards, right away they're like, oh shit, we got to do something. What did we change from the 360 to the Xbox Ones that's causing this many people to go to our competitor? Oh, the use this shit and the fucking...
The use shit.
The use shit and the DRM.
DRM.
Fucking Halo gun.
Digital rights management.
So what did they do?
Blame yourself.
Right away, they picked out what they screwed up and are changing it. You cannot make these companies change anything if you just keep buying it blindly. That's the problem with Assassin's Creed. Mm-hmm. People complain every time, but every time they sell an extra 500,000 copies over the version before it. So they don't understand that their games are shipped out half broken. They don't care that they're rushing them. They don't care that it's the same shit over and over and over and over and over, because they keep selling an extra 500,000 units, and all they're seeing is the green, and they're going to pump them out as quickly as they can. If you're sick of them, if you're sick of Call of Duty, stop. Stop paying for them. Don't buy Call of Duty Elite. Don't get their DLC. Cut it out. And then 1 year when they sell 70 million units of or whatever, 10 million copies of Call of Duty, just for easy number's sake, and the very next year, they're like, we only sold 5 million, they're going to look and be like, what did we do or not do that caused this big drop-off? That's the only way they're going to understand you. You know what I mean? So you guys spoke with your wallets, and it fucking worked. That's my final thought. I applaud the gaming community. I don't applaud the way you guys handled it, like burn Xbox, burn, and fucking down with Microsoft. But you got your point across in a very poor way. But the point got across. You guys talked to the big dog. You guys fucking made them change their policy. It's amazing.
You just have to realize it wasn't the words; it was the behavior.
It was the money.
Yeah, well, the behavior as opposed to the actual, compared to what someone says and compared to what someone does. It's what people did. not what they said that made them change.
They spoke with their wallets.
Right.
Fucking A. Anybody else? Anything to tie in?
No, I think you really nailed it there, so I kind of let you go and
Going on a little Tony rant?
Don't rant.
All right, this has been episode 72. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch us next week, same time, same place.